cannot believe that I'm doing my bridal makeup tutorial right now. So I'm getting married in just a couple days, and I'm doing my own makeup for the welcome party / rehearsal dinner, and also for the actual wedding and ceremony and reception. So I have been testing out loads of different products, and I am coming to you with basically a full face and tutorial of my holy grail products. These are the products that I'm going to be using on the most important day of my life, and I'm so excited that it's finally here. But a part of me is also a little bit sad that this process is going to be over. Like, this has been so fun. My fiance and I have had so much fun planning and picking out all the little details. So I'm so excited for it to be here and to have those memories with all of our friends and family. But is it like a natural, normal feeling to like not want it to be over? I feel like when I've talked to a lot of my friends when it's leading up to their wedding, they're like, I'm so ready for it to be here. I'm tired of the planning and I'm just ready to party. And I just have really enjoyed and relished this planning process, and it has been so much fun. But I want to take you through step by step exactly every single product that I'm going to be using to get ready for my wedding. And oh my goodness, this is so exciting. Okay, I guess we should go ahead and just get started. The very first thing I'm going to do is use my L'Oreal Brow Lamination. This is in a clear color, to go ahead and just sweep my brows up and over. I like to do this before I put on any of my face moisturizer or toners, because I kind of use that product to clean up the edges. I find that if I just apply this either right before my foundation or over my foundation, you can kind of see it around the edges of my brows, and especially for my wedding, that's not what I want. So I'm actually going to go in with 2 coats of this, and I'm not doing anything super dramatic or trendy with my brows. I'm not making them super bushy. I really just want them to lay kind of where I am placing them. I cannot believe that this is my last trial day to do my makeup like this before I will just be doing it for all of the wedding activities. That's so exciting. If you watched my everyday makeup routine that I put up recently, you will know that I actually do not wash my face in the morning. It was recommended to me by a dermatologist just to use a toner. So on days when I want that really glowy, dewy, healthy skin look like on my wedding, I go in with the Haru Haru Wonder. This is the Black Rice Hyaluronic Toner. It's also called the first essence because it works in tandem with the second step to give you the most beautiful glowy skin. So I just apply a little bit of this onto a cotton pad, and then I'm going to sweep this across my face. It's super hydrating with the hyaluronic acid, and it is going to prep our skin for the next step. And I like to kind of fold this over a tiny bit and really go in close to the brows to make sure that I get any of that residual glue off of around the brows, and make sure you go under as well, because it will kind of cake up some of your shadow there. And then right between. Every skin can glow with the right products. This is something that I do not have naturally glowy or dewy skin, but these products sure do make it look like I do. Next, I'm going in with the Haru Haru Wonder Black Rice Probiotics Barrier Essence. This is the step that goes with the first step. You want to make sure that you give it a good shake before you apply it. Your gut is not the only thing that benefits from probiotics, but your skin does too. So this is kind of like a milky toner. They call it an essence because they say it is essential for your skin. So I'm just going to start by rubbing that between my fingers, and then I'm going to do a swipe to make sure that the product is evenly distributed, and then I go in and pat it on. This product has the golden ratio to repair and restore the skin's barrier, which is 3 ceramides, 1 cholesterol, and 1 fatty acid. And those work together to replenish, hydrate, and plump the skin. So you can already see that I have this really beautiful glow going on. I'm going to move on to eyes, and then we are going to come back and finish our skin prep. So I am going to go ahead and put on the Elemis Pro Collagen Hydra Gel Eye Masks. This is basically just a little treat to do. I'm gonna do it on the wedding day, but I want to test it out to make sure that any of the residual product doesn't have like any sort of effect on my concealer or anything. Also just feels really good to have this under, and I almost feel like this line is going to give me just a little bit of a guide to do my winged liner, which is the part that I am most nervous about because I mess it up the most often. Now I'm gonna go in with my eyeliner first. So typically I would do this after my eyeshadow, but because it is a step that I tend to mess up, I wanna go ahead and map out where I'm going to put it when I don't have any of the shadow on, so I can clean it up with a Q-tip if I need to, and then I will put the shadow over top of it, but it won't fully cover it. I'll still have that kind of like line that I can see and trace. So I'm using my absolute favorite liquid liner. This is the Too Faced Better Than Sex Easy Glide Waterproof Liquid Liner in Deepest Black. Out of all the liquid liners I've used, this one is the easiest. I am just not the best at doing liquid liner, and it's something that you just gotta know where your struggles are. I actually have a handheld mirror here that I'm just going to look down and do the tiniest line right against my lash line just to kind of start to see where I put this. I'm not taking it all the way into the inner corner because I'm going to use a black to tight line, and that will kind of bring that final little amount in. But I will say that whenever I do this process, the first line I do is always so easy, and I'm like, why did I do that? I didn't need to practice that. But if I ever skip this step and just go straight into shadow, I always mess up my liner. It's almost like a little good luck thing that I need to do to ensure that I'm going to like my eyeliner that day. Now I'm gonna go on and do the other side. This eyelid has a touch more space than this one, so I kind of like cheat it and make them look a little bit more similar by making this eyeliner just the tiniest hair thicker. Moment of truth, do we like the wing? Oh, I think I do. Do I like that one better? They're not the same, but I'm thinking maybe I like that one better. This is not the final placement. It's really just going to be a guide for me, but I do want to take this one just a tiny bit more up the way that one is. So I have my Charlotte Tilbury Take It All Off. That fly is still buzzing around here. Eye makeup remover, and then I have these super tiny little cotton swabs from Sephora. They're like super pointy and they work really well for this. I'm happy with that as my guide, so I'm just going to make sure that it's dry before I go in with my Urban Decay Primer Potion. This is a new one that I've been using lately. That's the anti-aging. Well, I don't know how new it is, but it's new to me. And I've been using Primer Potion for so many years. I absolutely love it, but I decided to try out the anti-aging one, and I do really like it. And I even took it down kind of like onto the eyeliner. So now, first thing I'm gonna do is take my eyeshadow palette. All of the eyeshadows that I'm using are from this Makeup by Mario Master Mattes. And I'm going to take this first color right here. It's just the lightest one. I'm gonna take a super large fluffy brush. This is BK Beauty's 212. And I'm just going to pack this onto the lid all the way up to the brow as kind of my base. All right, and then with a Morphe by Jaclyn Hill, this is a JH32 brush. I don't believe these are sold anymore, but I will put a dupe or a comparable brush in the description down below. I'm gonna go in with this shade right here. It is the Matte 4. And I'm going to load this up on my brush, tap off any excess, and I'm gonna use this to start my transition shade in my crease. So kind of holding the brush far back, I'm just going to buff this between my crease and my eyebrow, and I'm just doing small circular motions all the way into the inner corner. And this is just going to help make blending out our shadows even easier. All of the shadows for this look that I'm using today are matte, but then I have a fun little topper that I'll be using that I am so freaking excited about. So I wanted to keep everything else matte just to let that literally shine. Now I'm going in with an even smaller crease brush. This is the Morphe by Jaclyn Hill JH33. Again, I will find a dupe for you. And I'm going to be mixing these two colors, which I'm assuming are shade 5 and 6. No, it says 7 and 8. I might be reading this wrong. It's these two right here at the end. I'm just going to do a little bit of each of these on the brush, tap off any excess, and I'm going to focus this more in my actual crease, less up towards my brow. So I'm just gonna kind of place it right in that hollow and then lightly wiggle the brush right around that hollow of my eye. You can see we're starting to build this crease up with some depth and dimension, but I'm not going straight in with a super dark color. Ooh, I like the way that side's looking. So let's make them look a little more similar. I'm gonna go back in with that very first brush that I used. It doesn't have any product on it anymore. If it does, it's just that lightest shade. And I'm just going to take this across those colors just to blend them together even more. For an important day like this, I like to do eyes before I do the rest of my face, just so I make sure that I don't have any fallout. Now I'm going to take a shader brush. This is a Pro Smoky Shadow number 30 by Sephora, and I'm going to take the darker of those two shades that I was using, just pat that on the brush, tap off any excess, and I'm going to stamp this into the outer corner of my lid and bring it in about halfway. And then whatever's left over on my brush, I'm starting to work in, so I get a little bit of an ombre gradient, but I am not actually applying a lot of the pigment into this inner third of my eye, and I'm not touching anything right in that inner corner. Now I'm gonna go in with this tiny little brush that I have. This is a BK Beauty 209. I'm gonna take that lightest color again, and I'm going to reapply that right into the inner portion of my lid, just to kind of re-emphasize that bright inner corner. Now I have the Dose of Colors. This is the It's Literally Magic Multi-Use Shimmer Stick in the color Icy. And this gives a glittery effect that's super soft, super diffused. It's very kind of dispersed and a little bit of a gradient, and I just love it so, so much. So I'm applying that onto the inner part, and then I'm just going to lightly tap with my finger and pull a tiny bit of that onto the darker portion of my lid. But I definitely want to keep it focused on the inner corner, and I do not want to overdo this. I don't want people to look at me and be like, she is wearing a full-on glittery smoky eye. I want it to be a little bit more of like a bronzed smoky eye with just like a pop, a flash of glitter when the light hits it right. It almost just makes it look a little bit wet, which really goes for that hydrated, dewy look that I'm going for. I'm gonna go ahead and take these little eye masks off. My eyes have their base and anything that is going to kind of cause any fallout done. I'm going to apply a little bit of eye cream under my eyes. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Eye Rescue, and I'm just putting the tiniest amount of this just underneath my eyes to make sure they stay hydrated and don't get cakey when I put the powder on with the concealer underneath it. I'm also going to use the tiniest amount of moisturizer. This is the Beekman 1802 Milk RX Advanced Better Aging Cream. So I'm just applying that on as the last step to really prep my skin and make sure that I am getting that glow from within. I'm going to go back in with the Haru Haru Wonder Black Rice Probiotic Barrier Essence, and I am just shaking this really well, and then I'm going to go in with another layer of this. And I find that no matter what foundation I put over this, if it is a matte foundation or anything, it still just makes my skin look so alive and glowy and just like youthful and fresh underneath. I got color matched in the Estee Lauder Double Wear. I tried so many different foundations leading up to this day so that I could know which one was going to wear the best, last the longest, and I absolutely loved the way this looked, but since I have a spray tan, I had to get a darker color. They matched me with 3C1, so let's see how that looks on my skin. Oh. Okay. My face is a little bit paler than the rest of my body, so I actually think that this is going to be really great. And I'm applying this with a BK Beauty 109 foundation brush. I think this is the mini one. I like it better than the bigger one. I feel like I just have a little more control over it and can get really in any of the crevices and areas that I need to. So I really like this one. But I am going to make sure that I take this all the way down on my jawline and my neck. I did try an underpainting technique with my contour, but I feel like this foundation is just a little bit too full coverage. I felt like I had to go over it after my foundation anyways, and so at that point I don't want to do additional layers of makeup that I don't need or that you're not going to see, so I'm just going to do it afterwards. But I do think that if I was wearing a foundation that wasn't as full coverage, that would have looked really, really good. Now that I've applied the foundation with the brush, I'm going to go in with a clean, damp beauty sponge, and I'm just going to press this onto the skin. This is going to help just kind of have it blend into the skin and pick up any excess that I don't need. I also will not be wearing sunscreen with this look. Both my ceremony and reception are indoors. There's really no reason the entire day that I am going to be outdoors, and I find that sometimes it does affect the way the makeup sits on my skin, or I can see a little bit of a white cast in photographs, so I just decided to forego sunscreen for this day. Now I have a new shade of the Tarte Shape Tape. This is in the color 20S Light Sand, so let's see how this one is looking. And I've been applying this with a brush lately. If you're on TikTok, you've probably seen this go viral. It's the BK A506 Angie Hot and Flashy. It is so absolutely incredible to apply your concealer on with. It doesn't soak the product up like a sponge, and it just gives you such a flawless airbrush finish. So I am just going to go in with this product. Okay, it is definitely still light, but I think I am going to make it work. I do like using my concealer for a brightening effect under my eyes, so I think that this will do the job. I just want to make sure it's not too light. I'll keep blending that out in a second, but let's go ahead and get some on the other side. I'm going to use a tiny bit of this as a highlighter on all of the places that I want to just be a touch brighter. Now I'm going to go in with my NARS Laguna Cream Bronzer. This is in the color 02, which is the original. I'm going to take a little bit of that on a flat top kabuki brush. This one is from Tarte, and I'm just going to stamp this along my cheekbone. That fly is back. Definitely don't want to have too heavy of a hand with this, but I also want to be a little bit chiseled. That feels like far too much. Let's go ahead and go up to the forehead, and we are going to have to see what we can do to blend this baby out. Forehead feels good. I had to go check it in the big mirror because it felt very dramatic looking in the viewfinder and in this little mirror that I have right here, but I think we are going to make this work. I'm just going to pat it out and kind of blend it. For blush, I'm taking my Makeup by Mario cream blush. This is in Rose Crush, and I'm just going to apply a little bit of this onto a brush, tap off any excess on the back of my hand, and then I'm just going to pat this onto my cheeks. I don't bring it all the way down to the apples, but I also don't take it as high as I see a lot of people do online. I'm kind of just like doing it kind of in the middle. That's just what feels best for me. And then again, going in with my beauty blender and just tapping this all together, making sure I don't have any harsh lines or edges or any buildup of product. What is that? I just got my hair cut and colored for the very last time before my wedding, and I was just looking in the mirror and I was like, what is that brown stuff in my ear? And I think some of the toner was in there. So if you've been staring at that the entire time I've been filming this video, I am so incredibly sorry. Like, is it in my actual ear or just up here? Before I go in with any powder, I want to go ahead and spray down these products with the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray, and I will use a decent amount of this. Now I'm going to go in one more time with my beauty sponge and make sure that I'm getting any of the creases that are underneath my eyes in that concealer, because I'm going to go in and set it with the Hourglass Veil setting powder. This is the translucent one, and I am applying this on a BK Beauty 110 brush. I'm just going to get a good bit of that on the brush, but then tap off a lot of the excess. I'm going to look up and I'm just going to pat this under my eyes. I'm not going to be baking any of this makeup on my face. Sometimes I feel like that just makes everything look a little bit more cakey on me. It doesn't really like bake beautifully the way I've seen it work on other people, so I'm not going to be doing that. But I'm lightly setting everywhere with this powder, so just very lightly going over it, because I am going to be going in with a little bit of some powder products that I don't want to go directly onto the wet products without having a little buffer layer in between. Even setting that with the powder, you can still see just how glowy and vibrant my skin looks. So now for a blush topper, I'm going in with the Kosas Butterflies. Blush is life, and I have this BK Beauty number 112 brush. This is a very, very bright pink. I am just taking a little bit of this and I'm dusting it a little bit higher than where I put the majority of my blush, kind of blending together the blush and the under eye concealer, and it just gives this beautiful finish that I've really been enjoying lately. It's very subtle, but I can definitely tell. And then I have the Rare Beauty Mesmerize highlighter. I went back and forth on whether I want to wear this just because I did feel like it highlighted a little bit of texture. So I'm just going to apply a little bit of this on the Sephora Pro Featherweight blending brush. I'm going to wipe it off on the back of my arm first to really make sure that I only have a little bit of that product on, and then I'm only going to apply it on the very tops of my cheeks, because down here is where we start to get into texture territory, and that is what I don't want to highlight. So I'm just using this on the very tops. I'm not putting that anywhere else on my face, but now it is time to finally go in with brows. So I'm using the Charlotte Tilbury Brow Cheat in the color Natural Brown. So I'm basically just going to follow my natural brows. I'm not changing the structure or really anything. I'm just filling in any sparse areas with tiny little hair-like strokes. Now I do bring them in closer together a little bit more than they naturally have the hair growing, but for the ends and the tail, I pretty much keep it how it naturally is. I'm just filling in sparse areas. Now I'm gonna go back in with my black liquid liner and just trace that line that I already drew, just to make sure that it is as dark and defined as possible. I have left so many items that I have to go back and get. So now for Tightline and Waterline, I'm gonna go in. This is the Almay All Day Intense Gel Liner in black. And I'm just going to lightly tightline with this. For the lower lash line, I'm going to take the Maybelline Tattoo Studio in the color Biscotti Cream, and I'm just going to very lightly do my waterline with this. I've gone back and forth on whether I want to do shadow or any sort of darker liner on the lower lashes, and something about leaving it clean just feels very fresh and bridal to me, so that is what I've decided to do. But obviously you could add that if that is more your vibe and the way you want to do it. So now for lashes, I am going to be using false lashes. These are the Ardell Naked Clusters, and I'm going to be applying them underneath of my natural lashes using the Duo Under Bond and Seal. I've tried so many different brands for their Bond and Seal. I've tried Lashify, Falscara, a product called, I think, Velour from Ulta, and I have never had one that lasts more than like 3 or 4 days. This product says that it will make your DIY lash extensions last for up to 10 days. I have gotten 5 days out of this, and then I have taken them off just because I like to replace them after that amount of time and give my eyes like a really good clean. But this one has definitely stayed on the longest. So I'm going to be applying these lashes, and then they're the same ones that I will be wearing at my wedding. So the pressure is on. I have 2 different pairs of these. They're both by the brand Kiss, and I've gotten them with different sets, but I'm just gonna go through and go ahead and pull out all of the lashes that I am going to use. I'm not going for anything too dramatic, so I'm only using 12s, 10s, and an 8 on the inner corner. So I'm gonna go in with this Bond and start by applying it just at the base of my lashes. And I just kind of shake it to make sure it's really coating just that base where I need it. And I do this in like 2 sections. So I'll do the first couple, and then I'll stop and put a little more Bond on, and then do the rest. I'm also gonna swipe a tiny bit of this onto the underside of the lash just to make sure that that band is fully coated, and then I just go underneath of my lash and I kind of wiggle it around. You don't want it to be on your tight line, but you want it to be pretty much as close as you can get it to there. I find that the easiest way to apply this is to have the mirror below you and kind of tilt your head back and look down at it. I have 3 of the 12s and 1 of the 10s applied, so now I need to go back in and get the rest of these little lashes at the base with the Bond so that I can keep moving with that. I'm gonna apply 1 more 10, and then I'm going to go in with an 8. And then before I go in with the seal side, I take this second pair of little tweezer clamp tong thingies, and I'm just going to clamp them down and make sure that they are fully attached to my natural lashes. And then I'm gonna go in with the seal side, and I do not like to use a lot of this product. I find it makes them kind of like crunchy. Ooh, I just got a tiny bit in this inner corner, but I'm just going to tap that against the base of the lashes. This is basically going to turn that Bond into like a hard gel coating that is going to hold them on even through showers and washing your face for a few days. And then as my last step, I'm gonna run just a little bit of the seal product inside of this clamp and go back through and clamp them down. This is going to make sure that all of the Bond kind of has that seal on it, and it also keeps the tweezers from sticking. One tip is, I will say, try not to get the seal on the very tips of the lashes. I don't know why, but it just doesn't look as good. Just a little pro tip from an amateur. I am obsessed with this lash map that I ended up doing. If your eyes are larger than mine, you might need to do a couple more 12s on the end, or you might need to go up to some 14s, but this is what is working for me, and I'm definitely enjoying this look. It still has a very soft look to me, but it's definitely more amplified than what my natural lashes could do with mascara. So I'm gonna repeat it on this eye, and I will be right back. Y'all, I am sitting here editing and I do not know what happened to the last clip that I filmed. I know that nothing happened to my camera because the clip afterwards, which is where I went back and did the intro, is on there, but for some reason I'm fully missing this clip. So after I did my second eyelash application, I went in and did my lips. So this is the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk lip liner, lipstick, and the matching lip gloss. And then I just did one more overall spray of the Charlotte Tilbury setting spray over everything. And hopefully being able to see the finished look at the very beginning of the video is good for you. It has been a couple hours and it's still holding up beautifully. But yeah, that's really strange and I don't know what happened, but I hope it doesn't happen again. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video and I will see you next time when I'm a wife.